All right, guys, we were originally going to do this as a Tech Tip Tuesday, but this one is really too intense. So this is actually going to be a bit of a multi-series, okay? When we're looking at centralized lighting is very, very different than any other lighting system you've ever encountered. And I use the term system to describe the architecture that's used. So in this part one, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the architecture, and then I'm going to show you a couple of the modules that are used in centralized lighting to make the system work, okay? So traditionally, when you're doing a lighting system, when you're worrying about in your home, it's going to look something like this, okay? If you notice in this image, you're going to see that the wire comes from the circuit breaker, goes out to the light switch, goes from the light switch up to the light in that room. If you want to three-way that, meaning have another switch at another location in the room, you can see in this image, we then add another light switch on the other wall, and those are all wired together. Where this starts to become a problem is when we're looking at multiple light switches. So like in this photo, you can see that now if we go and have 4, 5, 6, 7 light switches, this becomes a lot of what we refer to in our industry as wall acne. It's just more stuff. Here comes centralized lighting. So then centralized lighting, the architecture itself is where the difference is. And then there's just some hardware to make it happen. So on a centralized lighting system, you're going to have an image like this. You're going to see the wiring comes from the circuit breaker panel out into what's called a load center where it can be controlled, and then to the light. Typically that load center, it's like a circuit breaker panel, so it'll be something like in a mechanical room, in a garage, something like that. And we'll put multiple of these throughout a home. Okay, so now all of those loads, all of those lights and everything that are in there all go back to your load center. Okay, what happens in there is we have a module that looks like this. This is actually what we refer to as an 8-load module. So with this module, this would mount inside that load center like this. And then what happened is hooked up to these terminals down the side. If you actually, I'll turn it around like this, and if you look here, if you look close, you can see we go from load 1 to load 8. So this would actually represent 8 light switches, okay? So what would happen is that goes in the panel, and then in each room we put a keypad. Those keypads that look like this, okay? These keypads, they can be custom configured. Now each one of those buttons can be individually programmed to turn a specific light or turn a specific feature on and off. So for example, you could have the top button turn all the lights on in the kitchen. You could have the next button down be a panic button that flashes your outside lights. You could have another one that starts a timer and after 5 minutes shuts all the lights off in your kitchen. And the great thing is that even after you're in your home and it's been a month, you realize that you really wish you had the ability to turn the hall light on from the kitchen with very, very simple reprogramming. 15 to 30 minute appointment. That can all be reprogrammed to meet your new needs. So it's a very, very dynamic platform, okay? It is not for every home, okay? I need to stress that. If you're building a 800 square foot condo, it's probably not the right fit for you. But if you're building a 3,000, 5,000, 10, 12, 14,000 square foot home, absolutely. We have a client here in Boise. They have, if I remember correctly, it's roughly 11 light switches in their kitchen for their 11 different loads. It's panelized, and because it's panelized, when you walk into the kitchen, all you see is a single keypad. And they just have morning, lunch, dinner, and good night. And that's it. There aren't any other switches taking up walls. There aren't any stack light switches, nothing like that. You can only get that type of functionality with a panelized system. I will put a hot link down below here to link to Control 4's panelized light section so you can read some more on it, okay? Also, in our second clip, our second video of this, I will show you an actual load center enclosure and what's in it and what those parts are so you can see what those pieces are and how they go together, okay? And then the third clip, I'll actually show you the keypads. We'll go through those, talk about the different keypads. I'll show you some different configurations. If you watch our videos, you may have seen the earlier one on lighting keypads. Very, very similar about how we can customize those configurations. Okay? Make sure and hold on and watch for 2 and 3. You guys have yourself a great day. Thank you.